Wildfires were spreading through the outskirts of Los Angeles, leaving scorched earth and smoke rising high into the sky. The fire, fueled by strong winds, was destroying everything in its path. People evacuated in panic, grabbing the essentials and leaving their homes to their fate. Laura and Michael, a young couple with 2 children, left their home in a hurry. They loaded a few suitcases into an old car and headed west, trying to get out of the danger zone. But a few kilometers from their home, the car stopped, stalling on a road that was already covered in thick smoke. Laura tried to calm the children down, while Michael looked around helplessly, inspecting the engine in vain. Several cars drove by, ignoring their calls for help. The sight of smoke approaching the road only added to their sense of anxiety. Suddenly, an old pickup truck stopped near them. Behind the wheel was a man wearing a baseball cap and a simple jacket. His calm appearance contrasted sharply with the chaos around him. "Need any help?" he asked, opening the window. Michael, who had already started to lose hope, nodded. "The car broke down. We tried to evacuate, but now, let me give you a ride to safety," the stranger said. Without wasting any time, Laura and Michael transferred their children and suitcases to a pickup truck. The man helped them load their belongings, then quickly drove out of the danger zone. In the car, he remained silent, only occasionally asking if the children were comfortable and assuring them that they would soon be safe. An hour later, they arrived at the evacuation center. The stranger helped them unload their belongings, gave the children water bottles, and after making sure the family was safe, quietly left. Laura wanted to ask his name, but he disappeared into the crowd. "Whoever he was, he saved us," Michael said, looking in the direction where the pickup had just been. Little did they know that their savior was none other than Keanu Reeves, the actor who always stayed in the shadows when it came to his good deeds. The days after the evacuation seemed endless for Laura and Michael. The evacuation center was overcrowded, and the air was filled with the sound of voices and anxiety. The children tried to play despite their fatigue, but the constant news about the extent of the destruction did not allow the adults to relax. One morning, Michael decided to return to their home to see if there was a chance to save anything. Laura stayed with the children, although her heart was heavy with the thought that they had probably lost everything. When Michael came back, his face was pale and his eyes were empty. He silently showed Laura the photo. What had once been their home was now just a charred foundation. "It's all burned," he whispered. "We have nothing left." Laura hugged him, unable to hold back her tears. They knew it would be hard to start over, but they had no idea where to begin. Their savings were limited, and they didn't even have enough to pay rent. Everything they had was left in their car, which was now also unusable. At the evacuation center, they met other families who had also lost their homes. People shared food, clothes, and even advice on how to contact charitable organizations. But despite this support, Laura and Michael felt helpless. Their children began to ask when they would return home, and these questions were the most painful. One evening, as Laura was trying to put her children to bed, a man walked into the center. He was wearing the same jacket and baseball cap as the stranger who had rescued them. Laura and Michael could not believe their eyes. It was the same man who had helped them in their darkest moment. "Sorry for the suddenness," he said, smiling. "I thought I'd check in on you to see how you were holding up." "You!" Laura got to her feet. "You're here again?" "My name is Keanu," he said, holding out his hand. His voice was soft, and his eyes were sincere. Michael and Laura exchanged stunned glances. They could not believe that this humble man who helped them at a critical moment was actually Keanu Reeves, the famous actor. Keanu explained that after he drove them to the center, he couldn't stop thinking about their situation. "I knew you guys were going to have a hard time, and if I can do anything to make it easier, I want to help." At first, Laura and Michael were hesitant. They didn't want to be a burden, even knowing that they were facing a wealthy man. But Keanu was so sincere and persistent that they agreed to talk about their problems. "Our house burned down," Michael began. "Our car is gone too. We are left with nothing. We don't even know where we're going to live in a week." Keanu listened attentively, not interrupting. Then he said, I want to help you rebuild your life. We'll start by getting you a place to live." The next day, Keanu arranged for them to meet with a local charity that supported victims of the fires. They helped the family find temporary housing, a small house in the suburbs that was child-friendly and spacious enough for a comfortable stay. Laura and Michael were impressed. In addition, Keanu personally paid all the rent for the next 6 months and bought furniture and other necessary items. He also found a mechanic who repaired their car, making it usable again. When the family entered their new home for the first time, tears of gratitude were on their faces. The children ran through the rooms, excited about their new space, and Laura and Michael could not find the words to express their gratitude. "This is more than we could have ever imagined," Laura said as she hugged Keanu. "You have saved us a second time." Keanu didn't stop there. He helped Michael find a job through his contacts, approaching the owner of a local construction company. Michael earned a steady income that allowed the family to start saving for the future. Inspired by the support, Laura began volunteering with an organization that helped other fire victims. A few weeks after the move, Keanu organized a celebratory dinner for the family. He wanted to celebrate their new beginning and remind them that even in the most difficult times there is room for kindness and humanity. At the dinner, Laura said, "We will never forget what you have done for us. Not only did you give us a home, but you restored our faith in people." Keanu smiled and replied, "I only wanted to help, but you showed the real strength. You didn't give up and started to build your lives again." This part of their lives was the beginning of a new chapter in which there will always be room for good deeds and gratitude. The following weeks were a time of change and gradual recovery for Laura and Michael. Keanu Reeves' support not only ensured their physical well-being, but also gave them the strength to believe in a better future. The atmosphere in the new home they now called their own was one of gratitude and hope. Mornings in their new home always began with children laughing. Laura and Michael could see their children adapting to their new environment, excited about their rooms and the yard where they could play. But there were still many challenges outside the home. Michael, who had started a new job with a construction company, traveled to sites every day, trying to quickly learn his new responsibilities. One day after work, Michael returned with the news. His boss had heard from Keanu about their situation and offered Michael a promotion to support his family. It was an unexpected and extremely touching gesture for Michael. He felt that his work was appreciated and his future looked more stable. Laura, meanwhile, began volunteering at a local fire relief center. She used her experience to support other families in a similar situation. Her caring and compassion caught the attention of the center's coordinators, who invited her to become part of the permanent staff. This gave Laura the opportunity not only to help, but also to bring additional income to the family budget. Keanu, who stayed in touch with the family, continued to help them not only financially, but also morally. He organized several meetings with charitable foundations that could provide long-term support to victims of natural disasters. At one of these meetings, Laura gave a speech, sharing her story and how Keanu's help had changed their lives. Her words deeply affected the audience. One of the foundation's representatives offered funding to create a psychological support program for the affected families. Laura became its coordinator, which gave her confidence and a sense of importance in the community. Laura and Michael's children also received opportunities for development. Thanks to a scholarship organized by Keanu, the eldest son started attending art classes where he was able to express his emotions through drawings. His work was even featured in a local exhibition where he spoke about how the experience changed his outlook. Laura and Michael's family became an example for other survivors. They organized meetings for local families to share tips on how to overcome difficulties and start rebuilding their lives. Keanu made an unexpected appearance at one of these meetings. His presence inspired all the participants. This community is an example of how the power of community can overcome even the most difficult challenges, Keanu said during his speech. He also shared his plans to create a support fund for people affected by natural disasters. A few months later, Laura and Michael organized a housewarming party. It was a symbolic moment that signified a new beginning for their family. They invited their new friends from the community, Michael's coworkers, and Keanu. The atmosphere was warm and joyful. During dinner, Laura said, "This house is not just a place where we live. It is a symbol of the kindness that saved us in our darkest hour." Keanu, touched by her words, replied, "I only did what I thought was right. But the real heroes of this story are you. You did not give up and built a new life." This part of their lives ended with a sense of gratitude and hope. But at the same time, it was the beginning of a new chapter with more confidence in the future and a desire to help others. As time passed, Laura and Michael's lives became more stable. Thanks to Keanu Reeves' help, they not only regained their faith in themselves, but also found new ways to support others. The rebuilding of their family inspired the community around them, and everyone felt that kindness can change lives. Impressed by Laura and Michael's strength and determination, Keanu decided to do something more for the community. He started a foundation to help families affected by natural disasters. The foundation not only financed the construction and restoration of homes, but also provided psychological support for those who had suffered a loss. At the opening of the fund, Keanu said, "Each of us has the power to change the world for the better." This foundation is not just about houses. It's about rebuilding lives and believing that there is hope even after the darkest moments. Laura became the face of the foundation's new psychological support program. She organized meetings with families who had survived the fires, shared her experiences, and helped them find the strength to move on. Her personal story was an inspiration to many. Michael, meanwhile, took on the role of coordinator of construction projects funded by the foundation. His practical knowledge and experience in the construction industry helped to create dozens of new homes for affected families. Thanks to the foundation's initiatives, the local community has become closer than ever before. People came together for volunteer events, helped to build houses, and planted trees on the burned-out areas. Everyone felt important in the common cause. At one of these events, Keanu met up with Laura and Michael again. Together, they planted trees in the place where the forest had been destroyed by fire. This moment became a symbol of the restoration of not only nature, but also human connections. "This tree will grow strong and beautiful," Keanu said as he filled in the soil around the sapling. "Just as you have grown from these trials." 1 year after the fires, Laura, Michael, and the community organized a festive evening of appreciation to thank everyone who helped with the recovery effort. The event was held outdoors in the park, which has become a symbol of unity and a new beginning. Keanu, who was invited as the guest of honor, delivered a speech. This story is proof that the power of humanity can overcome any difficulty. You are all heroes of this community, and I am proud to have been a part of your journey. During the evening, an auction was held, the proceeds from which were donated to support the foundation's new projects. Laura and Michael auctioned off one of their family heirlooms to add to their contribution to helping others. A few years later, the Keanu Foundation continued to change lives. Laura and Michael became symbols of strength and recovery, and their story inspired many around the world. Keanu remained involved in the foundation's work, but always said modestly, "I didn't change your lives. It was your strength and determination that made it possible." This story is proof that even in the darkest of times, the light of humanity and kindness can light the way to a new beginning. Years have passed since that terrible night when flames engulfed the Los Angeles neighborhood, destroying homes, forests, and dreams. For Laura, Michael, and their family, this period has been both a trial and a blessing. Keanu Reeves helped change their lives and inspired many others. Thanks to the support of Keanu and the foundation he created, Laura and Michael not only rebuilt their lives, but also achieved significant success. Michael became a leading manager at the construction company he worked with after the fire. His experience and dedication led him to head up a housing rehabilitation program for families affected by the disaster. Laura continued to coordinate the Foundation's psychological support program. She helped hundreds of families cope with trauma and find the strength to move on. Her experience became so meaningful that she began to conduct trainings for new volunteers across the country. Laura and Michael's children have also changed. Their eldest son, inspired by the tragedy and its aftermath, became an artist. His work, which reflected the power of humanity and recovery, was exhibited in several galleries and received high praise. His younger daughter, who has always loved helping others, decided to become a doctor to support people in difficult times. The foundation, started by Keanu, grew to become an international organization. It has provided support to victims of natural disasters around the world. The foundation's projects have included housing construction, volunteer training, psychological support centers, and disaster prevention programs. All of these initiatives were inspired by the story of Laura and Michael, who remained part of this global mission. Keanu, although he avoided publicity, continued to be actively involved in the Foundation's work. He visited the communities that received assistance and always emphasized that true heroes are those who fight for their lives and help others. On the anniversary of the Foundation's creation, a large event was organized in Los Angeles. The evening was a celebration of humanity, restoration, and unity. Laura, Michael, and their children were the guests of honor, and their story was the centerpiece of the event. They shared their memories and how Keanu's helped change their lives. During the event, Keanu delivered a speech. This story began with a fire that seemed to destroy everything. But fire cannot destroy humanity. It cannot destroy the kindness and power of community. This family is an example of how light can be found even in the darkest moments. And each of you here today is a part of that light. After the event, Laura and Michael decided to write a book about their experience. It has become an inspiration to many, showing that even in the most difficult times, you can find hope and strength for a new beginning. They donated the proceeds from the book to the Foundation to continue its work. For Keanu, this story remained one of the most important in his life. He often referred to Laura, Michael, and their children as an example of how humanity and kindness can change lives. His actions, which began with a simple desire to help, became a symbol that even one person can make the world a better place. And this story reminded everyone that even from the ashes, you can grow stronger than ever.